Hey, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to another Clash Royale video. How are you guys doing today? I hope this video finds you all doing well, and folks, today we're going to be attempting to understand different archetypes. So this is a topic that came up while I was talking with a friend named Peter. Shout out to you, dude, if you're watching this right now. And basically we came to an agreement that people will generally stick to certain archetypes for most of their playtime in the game, really, unless they're forced to really try it out, like let's say in a classic deck challenge, really during collection day now, or during a blind deck event, and that can be really troublesome for those who don't have much experience using a variety of decks. So yeah, today we're going to be trying to understand how archetypes work in the game and just get a better feel for them when using them in future. So right off the bat here, folks, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I have very little experience in bridge spam when compared to other archetypes. I just haven't played it as much as I have certain other archetypes like minor control, P.E.K.K.A. control, even X-Bow. I've played that more than bridge spam in general. So yeah, just take my tips with a grain of salt here, folks. But a common misconception about bridge spam is that it is literally just spamming the bridge every opportunity you get once you have that battle ram or bandit. It's only those players who are quote-unquote noobs in the community playing this deck really and just being too aggressive have given it the bad reputation that it has for just being constant spam at the bridge. But folks, let me just say this, I have a lot of friends and a decent amount of them play competitively. At least a few of them I know who are really close to me do this on a regular basis, and they actually play this deck so conservatively you would be surprised. Their decision making is so on point. So what I have to say here, folks, is when you're playing any bridge spam deck like you're seeing here right now on the screen, you have to think over each decision very carefully, whether it is going to be reserving the ice golem for kiting of that lumberjack like I have to fight against my opponent here, or getting ready with the battle ram, or just knowing when and where to drop the inferno dragon and then accompany it with a troop to block something like an electro wizard or zappy or whatever the case is. You have to think your placements and timing very carefully, otherwise you're going to be making a lot of negative trades, because when you think about it, a battle ram is not that hard to stop anymore. We have the log, we have Polar, all of these cards can generally shut it down, and worse if your opponent has something like an ice combo with skeletons or goblins, or maybe even just, I don't know, this new card that came out recently, the Barbarian Barrel. That card can now push back the battle ram. So keeping all of that in mind, folks, you have to keep track of your opponent's rotations at all points in time. You need to apply specific knowledge, such as placing the zappies in the back of the king tower and stuff there, or the crown tower to stutter troops that are coming towards you. That can really buy you a lot of time. Hiding troops is very important, like I said before. Keeping track of rotation is definitely important, and knowing when and where to split push and just apply pressure to the other lane is going to help you in the long run, because when you give your opponents those tough choices to make, you can definitely find situations to make things go in your favor. So anyways, I hope you guys can benefit from those quick tips for bridge spam there, and now we're going to be moving on to our tips for Golem beatdown. So before I actually get into the real tips here for this archetype, I would just like to point out that I have already made a well-written Golem beatdown deck guide on Stats Royale, and I have a video for it on my channel as well, so do make sure you check that out when you have the chance. I have really went into as much detail as possible covering that guide, so I'm pretty sure most of you out there can benefit a lot from it. So look at this here right now, folks. My opponent pumped up the same time I did, and notice that I am not rushing to use my lightning spell on it, because I've already figured out that he's running 3 musketeers. Now when you're playing 3 musketeers, your opponent is definitely going to be splitting those 3 musketeers unless they can get enough elixir to build lightning rods. And look at this now, folks, I'm going to be sniping those musketeers. Even though they're in between the tower and the pump, I hit all 3 valuable targets there. I claim his elixir collector and I get rid of 2 out of 3 musketeers. Those goblins are going to buy me a little bit of time there, and well, actually I just let that go. Anyways, the point is that I conserved my elixir and waited for the right moment to use that lightning spell. In Golem decks, you generally have a slower playstyle, so you just have a routine where you want to pump up, defend, pump up, make some nice elixir trades, and then invest in a golem push. And then once you see that a golem push is working out in your favor, you might want to continue supporting it at the bridge a little bit with cards such as the Night Witch and the Lumberjack. However, being too aggressive is not always going to pay off for you, but just finding that right balance is going to just help you so much, because sometimes even when your golem breaks apart into 2 golem knights, adding something like a Night Witch is just like adding salt to the wound, because then your opponent really has to panic and they cannot let that go. Take another look at these lightning sharpshooting here. I was really proud of that there, because it's just like a split-second reaction there. I had to cast the lightning because I was already waiting for him to split it, so I was just waiting to deploy it on the right spot at the right time. Thankfully, I caught everything just before they split completely. So, as you can see here, folks, I gave him somewhat of an ultimatum where he had to choose between defending his left side tower or his right side tower, where the golem push was really coming down. However, he chooses to burn a log, and that really does not work out in his favor. And like I said, folks, you just gotta know when you can continue supporting your golem. In this case, I am definitely gonna be supporting that golem with almost everything I got. Those 3 musketeers land there, and with that lightning spell I held in hand there, we quickly smite them down, and that tower in the process there, giving us a 3 crown. So like I said, folks, you just gotta know the routine for golem decks, and once you master that routine and you know how to defend your pump and stuff, you can definitely be able to make a lot of magic happen, and more often than not, get a 3 crown, because golem beatdown is generally a 2 to 3 crown deck from what I understand. So yeah, just think your plays over carefully and you can make it work out for you. Now, onto this third match here, we have Minor P.E.K.K.A. Control versus Expo Cycle. Now, this Expo Cycle does indeed have the Inferno Tower, which is bad news for our P.E.K.K.A, but we do have the Electro Wizard and we also have Zap. Now, let me just be clear about one thing here, folks. Generally speaking, Expo Cycle is a very versatile deck, and take a look at what I do here as well. I gave him another ultimatum here like I did with my last opponent. I split pushed there, and look at how fruitful that was. The Electro Wizard gets so many zaps onto that tower there, and it was overall just so worth it for me. I could not believe how easily my opponent let me make that happen there, especially with that mishap fireball of his. I guess he was aiming for the barbarians as soon as they spawned, but he mistimed it greatly. Now, he's just sending an ice golem at the bridge here, which does not make any sense at all. That was just a waste of 2 elixir in my opinion here. So at this point in time, my opponent has basically thrown a match in my eyes here, and he's not really going to be able to come back from this, because when you're playing control, if you get an early lead, it's pretty hard to lose, to be honest, unless it's a hard counter match you're going up against. So right away here, as you can see, I cycled a battle ram in the back. That was because I didn't have any immediate use for it, and I could have just waited and see what he would have done, but that would be letting him get the chance to recuperate enough elixir to be on even terms with me. That's not going to work out, folks, so it was better to just cycle that one battle ram in the back and then wait to see how he responds. So as far as cards such as Battle Ram and Bandit are concerned, where they are prevalent in control and bridge spam, you can definitely afford to cycle them at the back of your King Tower every now and then, just to keep the elixir going, and make sure you don't leak any elixir, because leaking elixir when you're playing control decks especially is not so great, because leaking elixir in the long run allows your opponent to catch up, and then you really throw your advantage. And why would you want to do that? You always have to keep ahead of your opponent. If you allow them to get the elixir lead, you're giving them just so much opportunities to come back into the game. It's just not even funny, folks. So don't ever leak elixir. Play conservatively, watch and wait, and then respond appropriately. That's the mantra you have to chant for when you're playing any sort of control deck in general, and this can even apply to bait as well, because bait and control actually do share a lot of similarities in terms of the player's mindset for playing the deck. So with that in mind there, folks, I would also like to emphasize strongly on changing your minor positions, starting off in the anti-minor positioning, just to avoid any possibilities of King Tower activations and stuff. For more info on minor control and minor tech in general, I would refer you guys to some previous videos and guides that I would have made in the past. Again, check out those guides on Stats Royale, you guys will not regret it. Also, if you guys haven't tried this already, I would strongly recommend that you guys check out Spartan Elite Energy and use my discount code. And if you're interested in getting yourself a Nova Esports t-shirt, you guys can also get a discount using my username right now on their website. So check that out if you have the chance, and let me know how it goes. Anyways, moving back on to the main point of today's video, we're going to be discussing Giant Double Prince, which is a very popular beatdown deck on ladder, and I believe it's still pretty popular overall, even though the princes would have received nerfs after the rework on their charge time. The deck overall is still pretty easy to play, and I would actually think most of you out there can have a lot of success with it still. So if you haven't already, give it a try and see how you do with it, especially after today's tips. So anyways, I digress. Back to the point of today's video. As you can see here, we're facing up against 3 musketeers. So as you would know, I'm not gonna have multiple answers to that elixir collector there, so I made a bold move by poisoning his 2 musketeers there and making sure that my giant connects his tower. So basically I trade off the possibility of letting my opponent get an elixir advantage for getting some early tower damage overall. Now as you can see here, my opponent is also cycling back to his battle ram, but he then decides, you know what, his poison is out of rotation and let's use our collector since he has no other answer for that. But unfortunately for him, he did not factor in the possibility of me pushing at the bridge. This is what you can do whenever your opponent plays a pump deck and your poison is out of rotation there. And take a look at this. The poison even covers some of that minion horde there, which is just screaming value town for me, folks. I'm really digging that there. And now he's going to be punishing me with that battle ram there. But keep in mind, folks, we are playing a beatdown deck, and what do beatdown decks do? They absorb damage. Now folks, I could have defended better if I just invested in the Dark Prince or something like that. At the time, I guess I did panic a little bit. We all panic at some points in time, but hey, we still have that tower up, and that's what matters for us because he still has to commit a decent amount of elixir to get it down. And while he's busy doing that, I can obviously pressure the other lane if need be, but I don't think we're going to be allowing him to do that just yet. So he drops a miner at my tower there, and I really don't know why he's pushing the opposite lane there. That really didn't make a lot of sense to me, but look at what I did with the giant. I deployed it. I mean, I did fail on the prediction. I usually get them right most of the time, but in that case I failed. But if you looked at the details closely, the giant did shove the miner off the tower there for a little bit there, and that did prevent some damage overall, which is a win in my book there. I could sacrifice a little bit of damage from the giant overall, his HP actually I meant to say, and that's still pretty okay. So look at this right now. He's pumping up when there's 25 seconds left in the game, and he has no hope of taking a tower. Folks, do not ever pump up so late into the game. If it's already below 51 seconds and you do not have a tower and it's not going to be a long-winded game, don't bother pumping up. Just continue trying to take a tower if you're playing 3 musketeers. But take a look at this right now. We have got only 5 seconds left on the clock there, and there's nothing he can do at this point in time. So that's GG for match number 1 with Giant Double Prince. Now we're moving on to match number 2, and I can continue giving you guys some more tips. So in this matchup here, we're going to be playing against an Expo Cycle player who has, again, the Inferno Tower variant. If it wasn't obvious enough already, folks, I am actually showing replays from the recent Archetype challenge. Again, apologies for bringing these videos to you so late, but I'm doing my best with the time that I have. Anyways, now my opponent sees that I have my giant in the back, and he immediately punishes me with the Expo at the bridge. That was the correct play there. I misplayed myself with Dark Prince. That was meant to distract it there. I should have played that a little more forward there. That was honestly my mistake, but I'll be learning from that mistake in future, and I will not let that happen again now that I know exactly what he's going to be playing. So I send in some Spear Goblins there, trying to do what I can, but apparently that Inferno Tower looks like some seriously good eye candy for that giant, so he wanders into it like a moth, drawn to a flame there, and he goes down in flames because I just used my zap. So that was quite unfortunate, folks, but now that I know exactly what my opponent is running and stuff, I know how to better deal with it. Now I still make the noobish mistake and place my giant in the back, but my opponent for some reason does not decide to drop that Expo, and the reason for that is actually because he could not cycle fast enough. Sure enough, he did have the Expo coming up in rotation, but by the time that Expo finished deploying, it would already just lock onto the giant, so I guess that really did make sense for him not to play it there. But he does use it on defense. I probably would not have used that. I would have probably cycled my cards there so that I could have gotten back to my Inferno Tower. So he has to log there, stopping that Dark Prince from charging up and getting rid of my Spear Goblins. That was good of him overall. And now I'm back up another giant. So he's recuperating his elixir right now. And this time we're going to be waiting to see what he does. While we cap off at 10 elixir there, yet another giant in the back. He has that expo in rotation, drops it, and then drops the ice golem to distract anything that would attack it. This time I dropped the Dark Prince first. Firstly because it was cheaper at the time and it would not have gotten too easily distracted altogether, but in the end he still died, so that doesn't matter. Anyways, I digress. We have got this Infinite Tower coming to defend the giant again, but this time I have Zap in hand, and thanks to the Goblin Gang in the other lane there, I do manage to get rid of it pretty easily there, and the Prince in the meantime was doing a lot of work to that right side tower. So we bring that down there, and we immediately begin working on the other tower by setting up another beatdown push on the left lane. So we make quick work of his expo again, because once you take down a tower in any match against a siege deck, they're going to have a harder time unless they're pushing the lane which you don't already have the tower for. So yeah, we're just going to poison everything right now. We're spamming him with some spear goblins and bats there, and I placed my goblin gang in the middle this time because I knew he was going to log, and that's going to be GG right there, folks. So let me know what you guys thought about the giant beatdown deck overall in the comments down below. I'm really looking forward to what you guys have to say about that. And now we're going to be moving on to the Three Musketeers. Now guys, Three Musketeers is a favorite deck of mine actually. And the reason why I say this is because if you guys can recall, one of my first deck guides was built around a Three Musketeer deck, and ever since then I've been enjoying Three Musketeers quite a lot, so I don't mind getting stuck with it in a blind deck challenge. No sorry folks, I generally enjoy Three Musketeers, and after some influence with Clash with Ash, I've definitely grown to love the archetype and deck in general. So anyways, back to the point here. As you can see, my opponent had already tried to rush us at the bridge there with the Prince and stuff there. He poisons my pump and stuff, but that doesn't matter too much to me because when you're playing Three Musketeers, what you want to do is just pump up like you would with a Golem deck. And now that I know exactly what deck he's playing, I can better handle myself. Now, I'm going to fail a bit on this first defense here. This first time, he does rush me hard with the Dark Prince and the Giant there. I was not prepared for it at the time, but now that I know how he'll pressure me once I pump and stuff, I can better handle how he does it the next time. So pay attention to what I do, and you should see how to better defend against a giant Prince push. Now, the poison is going to be a bit of a deterrent for me to use my minion horde, but however, I still use it all the same because the minion horde is your second best defense, and it can be pretty annoying for your opponent to deal with. Unfortunately, the minion horde was nerfed. I believe that nerf was pretty necessary because it's quite annoying in general, honestly. But anyways, as you can see, he's countering again with the giant double prince. This time I'm kiting the Dark Prince into the opposite lane. Then we have our minion horde there, and he actually cast the zap really poorly there. So yeah, this minion horde, or at least what's left of it, and those goblins are really going to come back to bite him right now. And he drops bats to defend it, but that one minion in the back there that was just straggling along there, it does a lot of work there. Now he's going to be trying to rush me, I guess, with the Dark Prince, but take a look at this. All I need to do now is just kite that Dark Prince away into the other lane with my battle ram there. He drops the well played there. Honestly, that was a good play by myself there. He's backing up this Dark Prince now with a regular Prince. I have my minion horde ready here. His poison is out of rotation. He wasted his zap, and that is gonna really do it for this game overall because he has a minion horde coming to his tower now. He has to poison that there. My miner snipes that right side tower there. There's only 20 seconds left in the match. He used his poison, like I said. Again, he cannot make it with that giant. I'm gonna do everything in my power to stop it, but at the same time I'm also gonna be punishing him in the opposite lane there. We have our musketeers locking on. We have the ice golem stopping his bats there. We defend that giant very efficiently there, not taking too much damage overall. He zaps in frustration. That does not get him anything, and overall we do manage to walk away with the win. So your takeaway there from that match is to know your opponent's counters, play around it, and even if your opponent does decide to poison, that is not going to be the end of the world for you folks. So what you want to do there is just deploy the pump somewhere else where it would be more convenient for you in the long run. So say your opponent plays a minor poison deck, playing the pump in the middle is more than likely going to be the best solution unless they have already attacked it before, in which case you should pump up in the opposite lane, which would force them to either minor the opposite lane and poison, poison alone. You get the idea, folks. You just want to make sure that they don't get consistent damage on any one tower. Now, if your opponent is playing a spell-based deck or any sort of deck that runs the rocket like my opponent here is doing, what you'll want to do is drop that elixir collector consistently in the middle of the arena there, and this will just consistently draw out your opponent's rocket in turn, which would be pretty neutral overall, but your cards are still going to be cycled there, and you're going to have them waiting with that rocket at some points in time if they're full on elixir, and it might cause them to leak 1 or 2 elixir. So that's pretty good overall. And what's more is if your opponent happens to delay that rocket for more than 5 seconds, folks, what this means is that you're actually going to be making a positive elixir trade. Yes, you heard me, folks. For doing absolutely nothing, for dropping your elixir collector and having it taken out by a rocket, you can actually make a positive trade. What I mean by this really is that by the time 5 seconds have passed, you already get back 1 elixir, and your opponent would have spent 6 elixir dealing with your 6 elixir collector. That's a lot of elixir to say. Try saying that 3 times fast and see if you get that right. Anyways, another tip about using the pump is that if you're playing against a minor player who opts to use the minor on the collector, what you should be doing is just looking at the general direction in which the minor seems to be coming from, and from there you can make an accurate guess as to where he'll pop up, and then you can defend it with your goblin gang or block with your ice golem if you know they have something like zap, log, or even a poison in rotation to just get a lot of value there. So probably more often than not, you should try blocking with the Ice Golem, because the Ice Golem in this deck has so much defensive capabilities. I am not even joking, folks. It is one of the best cards in the game, and even after several nerfs, it still continues to do a lot of work for you overall. So yeah, keep that in mind. Ice Golem OP. Just use it to kite in the right situations like you would have seen in my previous match, and you should be good to go. And speaking of kiting and stuff, you can also kite with the battle ram. That's also an option, but it's a more expensive option and less likely to work out in your favor, because at the end of the day, you'll be losing your win condition, or at least one of 3 win conditions in this deck. Another tip is, as you can see here on the screen, you can also use your defensive goblin gangs creatively against a goblin barrel. If you place the goblin gang behind your crown tower that's being attacked, and your opponent does not do a predictive log or anything like that, you can actually take out the entire barrel just by losing a little bit of HP off of some of your goblins, but it is still very worth it, and it just makes life so much easier for you when you need to log something else. Now, anyways, back to the tips. You'll want to vary that minor positioning and stuff when you have the chance, but again, watch out for people with tornado. Watch out for people who are very smart and creative at defending the elixir collector in situations where your opponent pumps up in the center. What you want to do is actually send your miner in front of the collector for the first deployment, and then after that you can pick and choose your spots where you want to just rotate the miner positioning around the general area of the pump, and you should be able to pull off a lot of successful raids against their elixir collectors there. So I really hope that this short video here would have been able to help you guys out in the long run. I was really excited overall making it, because I felt like it was something that most of you out there would really benefit from watching, because I mean, thinking about it as a player myself who's been around for like 2 years in this game now, geez, time flies really fast. Yeah, I just felt like picking up different archetypes when you're used to only using 1 or 2 at most, it gets very difficult, and sometimes just knowing these little tips can indeed make a big difference overall. So with that being said there, folks, I would just like you guys to take a minute or two and vote in the comments down below which of these 2 cards that you see on screen right now would you sooner pick in a draft. I'm really curious to see how you guys think about your drafting overall, and I just want to see what you guys have to say about these 2 cards if possible. So yeah, let me know all of that down in the comments below, and I'll let you guys know when I next upload which card was the most popular, and give you guys a little bit of my thoughts on the pick as well. Also, if you guys are new to the channel or just haven't done it already, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications there, so you guys can be aware of whenever I upload my next video. Anyways guys, thank you all so much for viewing, and as always folks, just remember, if you keep on digging, you'll eventually strike gold, but even then, keep on digging deeper. You'll eventually come across something even more worth your while. So with that being said there folks, thank you all so much once again for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.